Thanks, Ben. And again, thank you guys for all joining. Very exciting day for our program, as well as a very busy day. The combination of a recruiting class, signing day, as well as preparation and practice scheduling and game planning for our game against Michigan State this weekend has kept us pretty busy. But we've added some great young men, and we welcome some great young men to our football program, our football family. I think you could tell by the names that we've announced. Our focus for this season was to on the defensive side of the ball, especially in the front seven. I firmly believe you need to build your program from the trenches. Last year we signed 6 offensive linemen. Felt like we took care of getting started with building that side of the ball and adding quality depth. This year we took care of the defensive side of the ball and the defensive line. I'm also really proud of how we were able to keep quite a few of our local players from the DMV here at home. Tremendous amount of talent in this area, I think, is a byproduct of the coaching that's continued to get better and better in this area, and it's reflective in the type of schools that all come to the DMV to recruit players. We didn't use all of our scholarships today. We have a little rainy day fund because you never know what happens after signing day, and with the second signing period upon us, transfer portal, grad transfers, all the different avenues to continue to fill our roster. So we will continue to actively recruit the best players to come in here and help us build this program. Before I take any questions, I want to thank my staff. Our recruiting staff did a tremendous job with this 21 class. And when I took this job in January of 19, this was the class we targeted. Not that we didn't recruit 19s and 20s, but I knew that relationship building is about a 2-year cycle. And when we took over in 19 and knowing how great class this area had locally, as well as our ability to continue to stretch all throughout the country to get players, we put a lot of point of emphasis on this one. And the staff with Taylor Edwards, Will Christopherson, Marcus Berry, Shelton Ely, all did a tremendous job with that on that side, as well as our coaching staff, which, recruiting is a collective effort, and you're only as good as the guys that you have in your program to help sell it. I want to thank our players who have been great allies and advocates for what a great opportunity the University of Maryland affords these young men when they come to campus, as well as all the faculty and staff that helped during the recruiting process when we brought kids in, whether it be virtual and or when they had opportunities to come on the campus. So collectively, a lot of people were involved in bringing this great class together. And if I left anybody out, our academic people, all the people that play a major role of showing what a great place Maryland is, I just want to thank those guys as well. So with that, I will open it up to any questions you guys may have.
Thank you, Coach. Reminder, if you have a question, please send me a chat. We'll start today with Wes Brown.
Hey, Coach Locks. You sort of talk about the defensive front, especially in this class. Do you think that was a target heading into the 21 class, or do you think that was more of a byproduct of having so many good local defensive players?
No, we definitely target. We don't just recruit local players. We have a formula for how many defensive linemen, DNs, linebackers we want. When you have 85 scholarships, you have to allocate them properly to make sure that your scholarship distribution fits. And I thought when I first got here, we were a little lopsided in some position groups. I can remember having 7 quarterbacks on scholarship, and we had like 6 wide receivers in one class. So what we've done and been able to do here the last couple of years is try to balance that scholarship distribution out to where we're starting to feel and hit the needs of where we want to be and how we distribute the scholarships, the 85 we have.
And just a quick follow-up, you sort of talked yesterday about how the class filled up so early, and that sort of helped you in not having to fight here at the end to keep the whole thing together. Do you think that's maybe helped you in some battles trying to flip specific players like Brandon Jennings at the last minute?
I mean, I wouldn't say that it necessarily helped, because I think obviously when you have the ability to get kids on campus and develop relationships outside of virtual and Zoom and FaceTime, I think that in-person contact and communication is critical. And so I think it has been more difficult to develop the personal relationships with kids that you maybe not have had the opportunity like these local guys. You know, when you look at these 21 guys that we've signed from the local area, we've had them up for games a year ago when they were just going into their junior years, and we were able to get them up here for camps, and then they got to spend a lot of one-on-one time, whereas some of the guys from out of state may be a little more difficult because they weren't able to travel and not having official visits and coming up for different things. So I wouldn't say it made it easier at all.
We'll go to Emily next.
Hey, Mike. Obviously, this class is very DMV heavy, but the one other spot you guys have seemed to recruited really well is Florida. I was just curious how you've been able to do that, what ties your staff has down in Florida, and what you've thought of being able to recruit that state pretty well lately.
Yeah, well, I mean, anybody that knows me knows that in the 30 years I've coached, my two main areas have been the DMV, and then I've recruited every part of Florida. I haven't spent time as an assistant at the University of Florida, but even here at Maryland, going down into that region. But, you know, having ties like George Hilo, who's from the Jacksonville area, up there in North Florida, Brian Williams, who's from the Miami area, and then spent some time up in Tallahassee. This is still a relationship-based business. And so, you know, those two guys definitely have had great ties. Joker Phillips goes down in the Florida for us as well. And over his years as a head coach in the SEC and then spending time as an assistant at Florida, he's recruited every part of the state as well. So there's quite a few guys on our staff that have natural ties. Mike Miller, our tight ends coach, from down there in the southeast section of Florida, just north of Miami. So quite a few of our coaches have great ties down there, and I think that's what helps us most.
We'll go to Scott Abraham.
Coach, good to see you as always. Every class has usually an underlying theme. What is this year's theme in your eyes?
I mean, I think when you look at us having to fill some needs on defense, you know, I just read an article and it kind of summed it up. The holy trinity of success in football starts with having a dominant offensive line, which we tried to utilize and shore up in last year's recruiting class where we signed 6 guys. Having a dominant defensive line, which I think we met the needs that we were looking for, and then having a quarterback. And I feel really good about the quarterback we have in our system. And so the next thing we got to do is, like I've said before, is get our guys to go out and play at a high level. We're always looking for smart, tough, and reliable players. This area is so fruitful in terms of the type of players that are coming from the DMV, which again, the coaching in this area has been phenomenal in the development of the players at the high school level as well as the youth level. When you look at the way our youth programs like the Maryland Heat and the White Oak Warriors are able to go out of state to play for championships and very successful. So this area has continued to impress me with how they develop football players, and it's helped us, and I'm looking forward to building it from inside out with the DMV guys, and then still show how powerful the Maryland brand is to go throughout the country and get players to come in and want to help us build it.
And Locks, I know priority number one was kind of building that wall around the DMV, keeping those players home. How successful do you think you've been, and what progress do you believe you've made of keeping those players at home?
We've taken a step in the right direction. Obviously, we feel pretty good about the ones we were able to keep. You know, the old adage is it's not the ones you lose that beat you, it's the ones you take that can't play. And we feel good that the ones we've taken from this area are all very capable players to help us take the next step as a program. We can always do better here locally. We'll continue to always fight to keep the top talent right here at home. And I think as we continue to grow through the growth phase of building this thing, you'll see us continue to improve in our abilities of keeping some of the top players here in the DMV right here at the crib.
Lots, appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll go to Lila next.
Hey, Lox, how are you?
Hey, Lila.
You've talked about kind of the DMV theme a lot, but just kind of within that, how much does it help just to have what does it meant for you to kind of just see on Twitter and kind of other social media and just kind of in general having players kind of recruit each other and kind of, you know, really talking about that DMV to Maryland movement and really kind of getting each other to buy in on it and having it kind of spread that way?
You know, I think, again, peer pressure runs recruiting, and I'm a big believer in that. You know, when they are recruiting each other and when it's cool for a guy to say, hey, I'm going to Maryland, and tell his buddy, and then those guys become close. You know, one of the unique things with this 21 class is, you know, I know they have their own group chat where they all are tweeting back and forth and they're all communicating. And this is a very tight-knit group that, again, because of the time we spent as a coaching staff, basically 2 years from the time we stepped down here in College Park in January of 19, these guys have become really close. And, you know, the thing I like about this group is they're all really confident in their abilities to come here, add to what we have to help us get this thing over to the next step, to the next level. And so we're excited about this class, and we're excited, obviously, that they're coming in. We're doing a lot of the heavy lifting now, and hopefully this group will be the catalyst to get us through the growth phase and into the success phase.
And with them kind of developing that close relationship, how helpful is that just to have them coming into the program kind of with that bond, especially with kind of, you know, the family mentality you guys have and, you know, trying to establish that chemistry?
Yeah, I think it's important. Chemistry is really, really important. If you look at and study all the successful teams, there's usually a bunch of players and guys that all enjoy being around each other. And I know the successful teams I've been a part of, they all have great cohesion, great unity. And, you know, with this group coming in already with an established connection, I think it only helps us.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Next up, we'll go to Andy Costa.
Hey, Coach, thanks for the time. You mentioned a little bit ago that it has been harder over Zoom to kind of create those personal relationships. When you are dealing with it virtually, I mean, what do you kind of focus on in those conversations to kind of maybe convince a kid or convince a parent that this is the place to be?
You want me to give my secret sauce, man? We already give y'all too much of that with the social media following you all around. No, I mean, here's the deal. You got to be genuine. People got to like you. If they like you, they buy from you. I learned that at Towson State University in my marketing class, and Professor Smith, who taught me, people buy from people they like. And so I think you got to do a good job of selling who you are and the great things that Maryland has to offer. There's no secret thing you say or do or way to say or do it. I just think people can tell when you're genuine. And then I'm still a big believer that, you know, third-party validation, you know, when you see guys like Rakim Jarrett send out a tweet saying 1 year later, still the best decision I've ever made in my life, validates that what we say we're going to do when you get here, we do. The fact that we got 2 freshmen on all Big Ten, all honorable mention, shows we play young players. They come in, they're being developed, they have success. And I think those are the things that help more than it is, you know, something, you know, jazzy or smooth that you can say in a virtual meeting. I think people have to feel the genuineness that you have and feel that it's really important for you to make sure their most precious commodity, which is their child, is going to have a chance to be successful and come back from your program a better version of themselves. So that's what we sell. That's what we work to sell.
Thank you.
Yep.
We'll go to Alif Kareem.
Coach, hope you're doing well. Really like the jacket too.
Oh, man, thank you. It's pretty
For sure.
locked in.
For sure. It's really drippy. Throwing it way back, you know, when you first got the job, you painted a picture for everyone of a vision of what Maryland football will look like in the future. Do you feel that this class is going to help you get or make that vision become a reality?
Yeah, I think this class of all of them, because, you know, in the way I recruit, a 2-year cycle, this is really the first full class that we've had a chance to develop that 2-year relationship. And over 2 years, you learn a lot about the players, and they learn a lot about you. And I just think it's really important that we get to know and know that we're bringing in the right kind of character. We're bringing in kids that it's important to earn a degree from a great university like the University of Maryland, and that they fit the mold of tough, smart, and reliable that we have for our players. And then we also put a premium on being winners. I mean, not that we don't recruit guys from teams that maybe don't have great success. But winning isn't always based on the scoreboard. It's based on when you do the research on a kid and he overcomes adversity and he does great in the school, and everybody from the janitor to the principal loves him. That's winning for me. And, those are the types of kids we want to build a program with. And I feel like we've taken a step in the right direction with this 21 class. And I see them as being kind of the catalyst class because they're really the first full 2-year cycle class we've had a chance to recruit here.
Next up, we'll go to Ahmed Gafir.
Hey, Coach. Good to see you. You kind of referenced how recruiting was that 2-year cycle, and with 2021 being that 2-year mark, you guys were able to hit on early, and you were able to kind of bring in a lot of those guys. I know obviously you went DMV heavy, but bringing in guys like CJ Dupree and Weston Wolf in early March. Do you feel like that 2-year cycle to kind of navigate those top targets, those guys you wanted, do you feel that eventually kind of paid dividends and kind of help you navigate and concentrate which areas you wanted to focus in down the stretch?
Yeah, there's no need. Obviously, position need directs and drives how we recruit and who we recruit. And like you said, guys like Weston and CJ and Laurent Husbands and then Joe Burns, I mean, we've been really deficient at the tight end position, which has always been a vital piece of our offense that I've run. And then to be able to recruit a fullback like Joe Burns, which gives us that guy that brings that toughness element in short yardage, goal line, great hands, and has the ability as a one-back to carry the ball as well. So there's no doubt that the 21 class and the time we've had to be able to recruit, and it's not just DMV. And I know we sell the DMV, and that's we're going to cut our grass before we cut our neighbor's grass. Yeah. But we also have such a powerful brand and relationships throughout the country that, we're not just going to be a DMV-based recruiting, because not everybody in the DMV is meant to come to Maryland or come here and have success, and we've got to make sure we bring the right ones here. But, I really feel that the Maryland brand continues to be a strong brand because of our location, being located outside of 2 major metropolitan areas, large media market, opportunities for life after football. These are all attractive things for kids and parents throughout the country that want to have a chance to be successful with or without the football.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Yep.
We'll go to Ed Lee.
Mike, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think this is the second year in a row you had a highly touted recruit change his mind on National Signing Day and come to Maryland. And I asked this question sort of in jest, but do you worry that fans are going to expect this kind of magic from you every year?
Yeah, man, it's a lot of pressure, man. It is a lot of pressure to keep doing it. But, it's not me as much as it is us. Like I said, recruiting is a collective deal here in Gossett. All the assistants, the recruiting staff, everybody working together. I like to get to the point where it's not a big deal that we get a 5-star player and a 4-star player to flip, because we've created and gotten through that growth phase of our program to where it's expected. And, where they're not necessarily flips anymore. So, it's fun. It's the Christmas time of year, which is my favorite time, with my birthday right around the corner, as you can tell by my decorations. And I asked Santa for some defensive help, and I guess I was a good boy for most of COVID. And he delivered early.
And then I wanted to ask you about Brandon Jennings. When did your pursuit of him begin, and were you surprised that he turned to Maryland?
Not at all. Brandon was one of the guys that made it up to campus before COVID shut down. Ryan Williams grew up with his dad, Bradley, and really close with that family. And as I said, kind of like, Amway, we got friends and family recruiting. Like, when you sell Amway, you always sell it to your aunt, your uncle, your cousins. So we use all of the relationships we can possibly use to help land good players, because I keep telling you guys, it's a relationship business in recruiting. And so, obviously B-Dub had a great relationship with Bradley, having grown up together. There are some connections there in Tallahassee, George Hilo being from Jacksonville. It was almost like the perfect storm, but he was a guy that made it up here early. We got on early. We've been recruiting him. Obviously he made a couple of commitments prior to, seeing, and I think what we were able to do was show, as I told each recruit, I mean, we're not there yet, and we're not even close to scratching the surface of where we want to be. But I did told every recruit that we recruited that you would see us take the next step as a program in year 2. And I think they saw that. I know one of the things he comes was like the way we played defense. And again, if you looked at us earlier in the year versus Northwestern to where we are now, you see our players have developed a mentality of how we want to play defense around here. And those are the things that have helped us in recruiting. When you show the progress and you're able to show kids exactly what you tell them in the recruiting process of where the program is headed.
Go to Jeff Ehrman next.
I don't think
Jeff?
he's asked the question. He probably hasn't learned. You got to unmute yourself, Jeff.
My bad. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Spragan's kid, he seems like a guy who's perhaps better than the rankings and such. Looks really good on video. What can you say about him?
I was glad that they kept the rankings really low because I know some of these people that don't evaluate tape kind of go off the rankings. I can just tell you that kid's a special player. He's one of those guys, I think his best football is still ahead of him. You know, one of the benefits, and I know the junior college coaches aren't going to be happy to hear this, but I was a little glad that they maybe didn't play games this fall because of the success and the type of player he is. We would have had to fight off just about everybody in the country for him. But a local guy, got on early, developed strong relationships. Coach Evans, Brawley did a tremendous job of developing the rapport with he and his family. And he's been one of those guys that has talked all along about wanting to stay here at the crib and help us build this thing, and right down the road at Anne Arundel County. So great to add him to the roster, and he'll bring some experience as a JUCO player that's, you know, a little older than bringing in a freshman, but excited to have Jeremy the Worm Spragan join us.
We'll go to Bruce Posner.
Yeah, Coach. First of all, congratulations on the class. It's great to watch, and the website too is fantastic. Coach, you've had 3 TV games this year that were phenomenal games. You won 2 of them, you lost 1. How much does that help you along the way? We always hear that when you lay an egg on TV, it can hurt. Going forward, how much does that help this year?
Man, I think laying an egg anytime hurts big time. And we've done that the last couple of games. So want to stay away from laying eggs, Bruce. Obviously, I think the exposure of playing on, you know, national TV games, and that's one of the things about being part of the Big Ten Conference. You know, with our network, we have the Big Ten Network as a national network. Obviously, Fox being affiliated with it, and then obviously being able to get on the ESPN family of channels always helps because it helps us extend our brand, but it also fits really nicely in what we sell from a recruiting standpoint, that being in one of the largest media markets in the country with us, you know, being right in between Baltimore and DC, gives you a tremendous advantage when we keep talking about building a brand. And the fact that we're located in such a great media market is attractive to kids. And now with the name, image, and likeness stuff coming about, it's something that I think may benefit them playing in this type of market. So there's no doubt, you know, playing on national TV is a good thing for your program.
Thanks, Coach. Great job.
Thank you.
For our last one, we'll go to Jacob Steinberg.
Hey, Coach, I know you're a guy that likes to stay in the moment and not necessarily look ahead too much, but with the way that your defense has developed throughout this season, particularly with a lot of young guys like Tarheeb still in the heavy defensive class that you've brought in, what excites you most about the long-term potential of your defense moving forward?
Yeah, it's not just the defense. It's just what, you know, the best is ahead for us when you look at us being able to put all the pieces together. I mean, you know, building a roster and building a winning, successful program is about putting all the right pieces together. And like I said, we've tried to fix the distribution of scholarships to make sure we're not receiver heavy, quarterback heavy, D-line heavy, and we've been able to do that. We've had huge voids in the program, obviously, with some of the attrition that we've had to face over the last few years. And that's where you've seen us bring in some junior college help that has been able to come in and bring immediate help Our goal is to build it with the high school player and use the junior college route to kind of fill needs and voids. So I feel good about the way our complete roster is shaping up. Now we've just got to do a good job as coaches of developing these guys and putting great game plans in place and then getting them to go out and play, play smart. We've played good, tough. We play with good toughness. We play with great effort. We've been really inconsistent, which I attribute to just being a young team. But I also feel like we haven't played really smart or with great discipline, and that's the piece that to get from the growth phase to the success phase, all those things have to kind of come together. And I feel good about our defense because of the type of players we've been able to recruit. I feel good about our offense. I mean, you look at when we have all of our pieces out there together. We got a great receiving core that we don't lose a player there. We've been able to add and fill the needs at the running back position. Our O-line, we kind of met the needs there to build depth with last year's recruiting class and guys that have come in and been in backup roles and played significant minutes. So again, with all that said, that's why I really feel the best is ahead for us.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you very much, guys. Merry Christmas. Happy
Thanks,
holidays.
Coach.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone, for joining us today.
That was easy.